We'll bring in the Treasurer General of the EFF, Omphile Maotwe, to speak to her now. Good morning to you, Treasurer General of the EFF. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Let's get your overall view on the carrying out of the elections, first of all.
Thank you very much, Chriseld, and greetings to the viewers. Look, right now the burning issue is the dashboard, which is down. And I think the media really, you need to help us to flaunt this thing, that we can't be experiencing the same thing again. In 2014 here in Gauteng, we experienced the same thing where the dashboard went down. And when it came back, the ANC was leading. Again, in 2019, we experienced the same thing. Now, we are experiencing the same thing. This is 3 times elections in a row. Really, this is unacceptable by the IEC. And we're saying to the IEC, help us to help you declare these elections to have been free and fair. There are many disputes that have been lodged throughout the country with evidence of tampering of the ballot boxes. There in Bushbuckridge, a presiding officer comes, or an area manager comes with the ballot box. As soon as he opens the door, ballot boxes fall. Ballot papers, they fall on the floor. That presiding officer was missing for a good 2 hours after collecting these ballot boxes. So what are you saying? And there's videos to that effect that shows. And then we say, okay, let's quarantine these boxes. They refuse. When we open the ballot box, they count 0 EFF in that. What is that? So we're appealing to IEC to say, tell the people that you've sent in the field to help us to declare these elections free and fair. With this kind of things, now the dashboard is down here in Gauteng. In Gauteng, we know that Ekurhuleni has not been counted. Majority of Ekurhuleni VDs have not been counted. Majority of Joburg, majority of Tshwane. Those are the 3 big metros in the province. There in eThekwini with over 800 VDs, only 300 and something have been counted. So,
will you be lodging objections? You have until about 5 o'clock. Will the EFF be lodging objections on some of these issues that you've raised?
We've been lodging objections. Every time we pick up an irregularity, we lodge an objection, to the extent that the IEC will even convene at the provincial level to discuss. That's what I'm saying to you. The decision of Bushbuckridge was to say, let's open this ballot box and count while we are dealing with the objection or the dispute. And when they counted, they found that in that ballot box, EFF was 0. The other ballot box, which was also tampered and opened clearly, then they agreed that let's share the votes amongst everybody. So every time we find any, not here, not at the IEC center, there on the ground, in the VDs, in the regional capturing centers, as soon as a irregularity happens, our people, our fighters on the ground, they lodge objections. But we've got the report that we've been sending to the head office.
Let's talk about the EFF's performance. Nationally, you have the new kid on the block, the MK party, surpassing the performance so far with, of course, 58.09%. Those are the numbers that are in at the moment. Are you disappointed?
No, we're not disappointed. I just said to you now, Chriseld, majority of the metros are not in. I gave an example with eThekwini. Out of 865 VDs, only 308 when we were working here to where we were speaking was in. Ekurhuleni, the same thing. Tshwane, Joburg. There in Mpumalanga, it's Mbombela, it's Bushbuckridge, it's Emalahleni, it's Dr. J.S. Moroka, it's Tembisi Lehani. In Limpopo, Polokwane, majority of the VDs have not been counted. College Chabani, majority. So it cuts across all the VDs. But let's look at Northern Cape, how the EFF performed in Northern Cape. EFF has grown by 29%. There is 100%. It's completed. The voting is done. The counting is done. The loading is done. EFF is 29%, has increased by 29%. That's a good over 10,000 votes. So we're quite happy. Here, nationally, we're still at 57%. If you look at the 58% now.
Are you hoping that the votes that will come in will change the fortunes of the EFF? Because certainly, should the board remain the way that it is now, that would certainly be somewhat of a regression for the EFF.
My darling, the vote that comes in first, you should know that. Yes. It's from the smaller VDs. Yes. So the bigger VDs have not been counted. And where are the bigger VDs found? In townships. So the black votes in majority have not been captured for. That's why you see the DA sitting there. It's going to drop because they've reached their ceiling. Look at Mpumalanga as an example. They are in Middleburg, they are in Mbombela, in the majority, and then they're in Gavenbeki. Those areas, they're almost done. But look at other sub-regions. Here, in Gauteng, Mid-Valley is done, that's where they are strong, and some small VDs across, but the majority of the bigger VDs are not yet in.
And you're pinning your hopes that that's going to change the fortunes of the EFF by the time the final results are announced.
It's science, my darling. Let's talk when the dashboard is now at 90%. That's when you'll see the magic. The votes of the EFF are still coming in the main. And if you open the system now and check where are these votes that she's talking about, you'll see that majority of the votes are still coming from rural VDs. Majority of the smaller VDs, you know, they are white VDs. They are farm VDs. They are small. Their numbers are in. If the EFF now at 58% is sitting at 780,000 already, you can imagine when now the bigger numbers are coming, where the EFF will be.
And just as a sidebar, you got a vote in Orania, didn't you?
We did, and we're happy. And in fact, that's revolutionary comrade of Orania. But you must go and recruit more other people to vote for the EFF. White people must vote for the EFF because we need to live peacefully in this country, sharing the mineral resources of this country, sharing together the wealth of this country. And that's what we're saying. We don't hate white people. We just hate the fact that they don't want to share the minerals with us. And we are unapologetic about it. White people, you've been living here for a long time. You've been taking the wealth of this country by yourselves. It's time that we share this wealth together. Otherwise, it will never have peace. The levels of crime, high levels of inequality will never reduce for as long as the majority of our people still lives in absolute poverty. We can't continue to have that. Chriseld.
The Treasurer General of the EFF, Omphile Maotwe, thank you very much indeed for joining us. And the EFF are still expecting some magic, indicating that the numbers, of course, from the bigger VDs have not yet come in. And of course, one of the key issues that have been in discussion at this point is how the MK party, the 4-month-old party, surpassing nationally with what we have currently at, of course, 58.09%. The performance of the MK party surpassing that nationally of the EFF. But of course, the Treasurer General of the party saying that the bigger VDs, that's still yet to come in. And she describes it as magic that will still come. We'll go to a short break. When we come back, we'll continue our rolling coverage here on SABC News. Stay with us.